Hi everyone, welcome to Coronayoga. My name is Trina. Today's practice is 60 minutes long. This is a Hatha and flow, which means that we will hold postures for a period of time and work on alignment, and we'll also flow using the breath to connect movement. So there's some toys that I'd like for you to have anytime you practice with me. Grab 2 washcloths. This is great for patting underneath your knees, and also whenever we're at the end, it's great to cover your eyes so that you can go a little deeper inside into your relaxation. Always have water. It's good to have just to hydrate if you need it. And a little yoga strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, just use a belt. And 2 yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, just anything that looks like this that is a little bit firm and sturdy, because they'll just come in handy. You can use books. That's a good option. So we are actually going to start on our backs today. I don't know why I got really excited when I said we're starting on our backs, but we're starting on our backs. So I like to place my head toward the front of the mat, but you can have it any direction. It really doesn't matter. So just find your back, and we'll start in the same position that we'll end in. So this is called Shavasana. So bring your feet out as wide as the mat. Let your toes just flop open to the sides. And find your shoulder blades. Draw your shoulder blades toward one another and just feel how that supports your heart. Place the hands on the abdomen, maybe one on top of one another, maybe one resting on top of one another. So top to bottom from the throat to the hips, or on top of one another from your mat to the ceiling. It doesn't matter. Just close the eyes. I'm taking an inventory. Where do you feel your body? What's going on with you mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Just a little inventory here. Now begin to cultivate your breath. So throughout this practice, I encourage you to breathe in and out through your nose. If that's not available to you, you can breathe in and out through very slightly opened lips. So like you're breathing in and out through a tiny straw. And try to relax the physical body. And if you just woke up, you may feel tired, and that's okay. Just lean into that. So our practice today is about home. So this is a pose that you can come back to if you need to get that sensation of calming and relaxing and feeling supported by the earth. Now bend your knees and draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a hug. And just rock side to side so you can start to massage the low back. As you draw the knees into the chest, you should feel a little stretch right at the hip creases. And if you do feel that, then extend your tailbone down. Find stillness. Hands are on the outsides of the knees, maybe on the shins. Then try to extend the tailbone toward the floor. Relax the muscles of the face. And think of what it means to feel at home. For me, that's safety, comfort. What is that for you? Home, the feeling of home. So we're going to try to feel at home in our bodies today. So extend the feet to the floor, knees bent. Left leg extends straight along the mat. So your left leg is just on the ground. Flex your left toes. Lift your right leg up toward the ceiling. Flex your right toes. Bring the arms down by the sides, palms face down. Draw your shoulder blades again toward one another and engage your arms down into the ground. So the palms are pressing down by the hips. The shoulders are pressing down toward the hips. Both sets of toes are flexing, so we're flexing through the ankle, pulling the toes toward the shins. The thighs are engaged and both legs are straight if that's available to you. Now slowly lower the right leg and then hover the right heel just 2 inches off the ground. 4, 3, 2, now hover that leg. So the right leg is hovering, the left leg is on the ground. Now lift the right leg back up toward the ceiling. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now lower again. Right leg lowers. 3, 2, 1. Lift again. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Again, lift. So now I want you to focus on pushing your right heel away from your right hip. So you try to imagine your right leg is longer. Now lower that leg down again. Pull your abdomen back toward your spine. Find your support here. The arms are going to support you. The left leg is going to support you. Lift again. That's another thing that feels like home to me is support. Kindness. What are these things? How can you lower your right leg down? Now, how can you bring that and embody that in your practice, that feeling of home? One more time, lift the right leg up. Bend the left knee, place the left foot on the floor, bend your right knee toward the right shoulder. Reach your right hand up, grab the outside of that right foot. So we're trying to move into a half happy baby. If you can't grab this right foot, just grab the outside of the right knee and try to draw your right thigh toward the right side of the body. So if you have a hold of your right foot, maybe you rock side to side. Playful. Is your home playful? What else does it mean to be home, to feel at home, to make a home? Let's release the right foot down. Feel the difference between your sides. So the knees are bent. Notice the sensation through the right leg versus the left leg. And now we'll set up for the other side, leg lifting. So extend the right leg straight. Flex your right toes. Engage your right thigh. Bring your arms down by the sides. Palms face down. Squeeze your shoulder blades toward one another. Now try to push your low back into the ground. So we're not arching the back. There's not space between your low back and the ground. The back is flat, okay? Lift the left leg up. Flex the left toes. So both legs are straight. If that's not available, it's okay. Press your arms down. Press the right toes toward the right shin. So both sets of toes actually are flexing. Breathe in here. And now lower that left heel for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now hold that left heel. Just hover it off the ground just a couple inches. Notice if your low back is lifting. Try to keep that pressing down. Try to activate your arms as well. And don't let any stress come into your face. Relax your head. Relax the entire forehead. And let your breath be very deep. Lift the left leg up. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift. 6, 5, 4, 3. Engage your thighs. Push that left heel away. Lower. 6. Don't forget to breathe. 2, 1. Lift. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower. Now, maybe you want to play with this a little bit and let your left toes fan open to the side. This will activate your inner thigh a little bit more. Lift the left leg up. 3, 2, 1. Lower. It's so funny doing practices where before I used to just teach without doing the practice. Now I get to feel it. So great. Lift the left leg up. 3, 2, 1. Bend the right knee, bend the left knee. So your right foot is on the floor, right knee is bent, left knee is coming toward the left shoulder. Now lift the left foot toward the ceiling. Grab the left foot with the left hand. Grab the outside of the foot if it's available. Maybe you grab your big toe, whatever. Just hold the foot wherever you can if it's available. Then try to bring that left thigh to the left side waist, and maybe you rock. And let's release this. Drop both knees into the chest. And again, just rock side to side. Okay, bring the arms down by the sides. Draw your shoulder blades toward one another. Lift the heels toward the ceiling. Cross your right ankle over the left ankle. So we're going to do hip lifts here. So what tends to happen in hip lifts is we start to use momentum to lift the hips up. But what I'd like for us to try to do is imagine there's a pane of glass coming from your belly button up to the ceiling, and your legs can't go past that toward your face, okay? Pane of glass from the belly button up toward the ceiling. Don't let your legs hit the glass, okay? Lift the legs up and lower down. You feel how your hips lift when you do that? Hips up and down. Up and down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Don't forget your pane of glass. 2, 1. Now the left leg on top. Breathe. I can easily hold my breath in those. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Breathe. Pane of glass. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now draw the knees into the chest. Bend your knees 90 degrees. Bring your hands behind your head, elbows wide. Flex your toes. Keep your knees above the hips and lift the shoulder blades off the ground. So you're not using your hands to hold your head. They're just there for support, okay? Now lower back down. Curl up and then lower down. Keep your knees 90 degrees. Lift the shoulder blades off the ground and lower down. Again, lift and lower. Are you breathing? Lift and lower. Now just keep doing this. Lift and notice where your mind goes. How can you make this, even though it might be giving you sensations that your mind might label as good or bad, how can you feel home in this? Lift, lower, lift, lower, and again, lift and lower down. Now hug your knees in. Good job. Encouragement too, that's another thing that always feels like home. Now bring your hands back behind the head again, elbows wide. Lift both heels up toward the ceiling. Lower the right leg down. Lift the chest up, lift your shoulder blades off the ground. Now switch the legs, left leg down, right leg up. Switch, switch. So we're just swimming the legs back and forth. And when you lower the bottom leg down, just hover the heel off the ground. Try to keep your shoulder blades lifted. Breathe. Home. How can you feel home here? Don't forget to breathe. Do 2 more on each side. And then hug the knees in and just say thank you. Then roll over onto your belly. I'm sweating. Are you sweating? So find your hands beneath your shoulders. You're on your belly here. We're moving into Cobra pose, Bhujangasana. Hands beneath the shoulders, fingertips are in line with tops of shoulders. Bring your elbow points back. Roll your shoulder blades toward your hips and then lift your chest up. So here, we're engaging the thighs. We're squeezing the glutes, and we should feel our low back active here. And this might feel really, really good after paying a little bit of attention to the abdomen. It might not. Lower back down. Now bring your hands out as wider than the mat rather. Elbow points up. Bink. Lift your shoulders up toward the ceiling, back toward the back of the mat, and then down toward the hips. Lift the chest up. Oh, so you can push your hands in here and then lower back down. So our fingertips are tented, then push up and then lower down. This feels so good. Lift up chest and then roll back down. Lift again and lower. Let's do 2 more. Lift up, lower down, lift up, and lower down. Bring the arms out wide, palms face down. If you're touching something beside you, maybe have a little bit more space, or bring your hands back behind you, palms face down. Lift your legs up, lift your chest. Locust. So right now in my earbuds, it's Peace Train, but it's by Dolly Parton instead of Cat Stevens, or Yusuf, I guess. Squeeze your legs together, lift your chest even more. Don't forget to breathe. I love this song. I mean, obviously I made the playlist. Release down. Bend your knees, bring your hands and stack your forearms on top of one another, just beneath your chin. Bend your knees and windshield wiper your shins. Maybe rest your head down on the forearms. Now, Superwoman, Superman, extend the legs straight, arms extend forward, palms face down. Lift both legs, lift both arms. Look down. How can you feel home here? Breathe. Squeeze your glutes. Squeeze your inner thighs. Don't forget to breathe. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Hands beneath shoulders. Push up to all fours. And then hips back to heels. Big toes touch, knees out as wide as the mat. Lower the hips down toward the heels. Reach your hands forward, let your forehead rest. And then just a little bit of a swish of the hips side to side. Just rocking side to side. And come forward, all fours. Bring your left foot forward. So we're in a half lunge, but the hands will be on the inside of the left foot. Just lean your hips forward. Press through the top of the right foot. Left knee is over the left heel. Now lift the right arm up toward the ceiling, and the left arm will follow. So the right arm is going to come back down the back of the right leg, maybe down to the back of the right knee. Left arm lifts up toward the ceiling. Just breathe here. Where do you feel your body? How can you make this pose feel like home? What are the qualities of home, and how can you embody that? Now cartwheel the hands down, inside of the left foot. Curl your right toes under, straighten the right leg. And then just move forward and back. Just rock in the lunge. So we didn't have a whole lot when I was growing up, but I never knew it. My parents always made the best out of what we did have. That's another quality of home for me. Just making the best out of whatever it is that you have. So what do you have here? In your poses, you have all these opportunities, all these options. Now lift your hips up and fold over a straight-ish left leg. So this is a little bit of a pyramid, a little modification of a pyramid, I guess. And just fold over the left leg. Notice where you feel this. Now bend the left knee. Step your right foot forward so our feet are going to be out as wide as the mat. So we're in a squat. And lower your hips down. Bring your hands back behind your heels. Turn your fingertips toward the back of the mat. Tent your fingertips. And then bend your knees. So you're squatting low. And then lift your hips up so your legs are straight-ish. Bend, squat low. Then lift the hips up. So whatever that means to you, if it doesn't make sense and you don't want to look up, just bend your knees and straighten the legs. And we'll do one more. Squat down. And after you're squatting, let your toes come out and your heels come in. Then find the squat. So the elbows to the insides of the knees. Lift the chest, hands to heart center. Find your breath. Okay, lift the hips and forward fold. Oh, and then find all fours, hands and knees. After you're on your hands and knees, round your spine and then wag your tail. Every time I practice, when I practice with other teachers, I always dance. Do you dance now that you're at home practicing? I consider this dancing as we're wagging our tail. Okay, bring your right foot forward to the outside of the mat. Lean your hips forward, hands on the inside of the right foot. You can also have your hands on blocks here. Just adjust your back leg, just so it feels good. Top of the left foot is flat. Lean your hips forward. Now lift the left arm up toward the ceiling and stretch it back. Right arm lifts high. Left hand slides down the back of the left leg. Find a deep breath. Now, do you want this to be about the hips stretching? Do you want this to be about the backward bending? What do you want this pose to be about for you? How can you refine it? How can you make the best out of what you have? Now cartwheel the hands down on the inside of that right foot. Curl the left toes under. Straighten the left leg. And then just move forward and back. So we're rocking to the tippy toes on that left side and then pushing the heel back so we're on the ball of the left foot. And then just moving back and forth, forward and back. Then find stillness here. Push through your right heel to straighten the right leg-ish. Forward folding over the right leg. Rebend the right knee. Now we'll find that squat. So step the left foot forward. Find your toes out wide, heels in, and you can adjust how wide your feet are side to side. Bend your knees, hands to the heart center, and maybe you just rock side to side. So depending on your flexibility, depending on your bone structure, this may not work for you. So you can always sit on your books or blocks and find your hands at heart center as you're sitting. When you listen to Homeward Bound by Simon and Garfunkel, how can you not rock your head? I find that with most music. How can you not rock your head? Have you ever been at a concert and you're the only one having the time of your life and you really just want everyone else to enjoy themselves too? That happened to me at Ray LaMontagne. I'm sure I was the most annoying person for everyone else. But I don't care. I was having the time of my life. It was one of those shows. Am I distracting you from your inner thighs? Good. It was one of those shows that should have been in a standing room, but it was in a theater. So you know, one of those theaters where the seats are like plush velvet? I'm in the middle of the whole theater just standing up having a dance. You may have hated me with the hips up. And find a forward fold. Bring your big toes to touch. So we're in a forward fold toward the top of the mat. Allow your head to relax. Halfway lift here. Inhale. And exhale, fold down. Bend the knees. Lift the fingers high. Chair pose. Utkatasana. Utkatasana can teach us a lot about ourselves. Reach your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers. Lift your chest. Sit back. Lift your heart away from your belly button. Keep your fingertips interlaced. They can be pressing together or they can be boxed so your wrists are away. Lift the heels. Lower the hips. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift your hips high. So we're in a forward fold, diver's pose with the hands bound back behind you. The heels are lifted. The fists are reaching away from the hips. If you fall, you fall. 3, 2, 1. Lower the heels down. Keep your fingertips interlaced. If you want to use one of your washcloths between your hands, go for it. That will create a little bit more space for you. Bend both knees, belly on the thighs. Step your right foot back, right foot at 45 degrees. So find your feet out wide, side to side, front to back, however far apart you want. Now bring your left shoulder to the inside of the left knee. Lifting your fist away from the hips. Humble, bowing warrior. Breathe. What can you do to play with your hips here? Can you draw your right hip bone forward? Can you plug your left thigh bone into the hip? Can you relax your face? Okay, lift the chest up. Keep your hands bound if you can. Keep the left knee bent. And now straighten the left leg. Turn both sets of toes toward the right. Adjust your feet so your heels are in one line, so we're facing the right side of the mat. Arms are still bound back behind you. Lift the chest. And forward fold down. So as we forward fold, check out your feet. Turn your toes in just a little bit so you're a bit pigeon-toed. Forward fold all the way till it feels good. And then reach your fists away from your back. Roll the weight into the toes, engage your thighs. Widen your thigh bones. Feel the difference here. Let's release the bind. So bring your hands to your low back, release your fists, bring the hands to the floor. So find your hands beneath your shoulders. If you need to be on blocks or books, go for it. We're going to play with our inner thighs here. So push through your feet and try to squeeze your inner thighs toward one another. And then relax that. Walk your feet out wider, so you're in a wider stance. Adjust your hands again so that your wrists are beneath your shoulders. Squeeze your inner thighs toward one another. So if you feel anything in your knees here, don't do it. Just find a stretch. Then relax and walk your feet further in. So a little bit wider than the hips. Now squeeze your inner thighs toward one another. And then relax. And same thing again, squeeze the inner thighs toward one another. We're activating the inner thighs here. And let's release this. Bring the hands to the hips, find a straight spine. Come up with a straight spine. Reach back behind you, interlace fingers again. Roll your shoulders back. Shoulder blades slide down the spine. Turn to face the front of your mat. Step your right foot out, left foot out. So you're in a wide stance here. Bend the knees. I always think this pose looks so funny. Step the left foot back. Find your left foot at 45 degrees. Your right knee is over your right heel. Now turn your left hip bone to face the front. So it's not cocked out to the side, but it's facing straight forward, okay? Now lean forward and try to bring your right shoulder to the inside of that right knee. So as we're here, you can always just release your hands and adjust your feet however you want, because we do want to feel a release in the right inner thigh, the right hamstring, maybe even through your right hip, depending on the flexibility. So we're starting with our fingertips interlaced, or released, whatever feels like home for you. And allow the crown of the head to sink toward the floor. Allow your breath to guide you. Plug your right thigh bone into the right hip and keep your right knee over your right heel. And lift the chest up. Keep your right knee bent. And straighten the right leg. Nice job. Step the left foot forward. So our fingertips are interlaced. Lift your chest, look up. Breathe into your heart space. And let's release this. Relax your arms, just shake them out if that feels better. Now bend your, let's try this again, shall we? Reach your fingertips down toward the ground so you're forward folding just a little bit. Bend your elbows and reach your hands back. It doesn't matter which elbow is on top, and give yourself a little hug here. So we're trying to create space between the shoulder blades. Bend both knees. So we're sitting back into an imaginary chair. Now hover your right foot up. So you're giving yourself a hug while you're balancing on the left foot. Bend the left knee even more. And then straighten the left leg. Keep your upper spine rounded. Bend the left knee. And straighten. Bend. And straighten. Again, bend. And straighten. Okay, release the arms, release the legs. Breathe in. And another pose that we can always come home to is mountain. Inhale, feet are together. Exhale, palms are facing forward. Now, do you remember which elbow was on top when you were hugging yourself? Just reach your hands back. Give yourself a hug again. So your elbows are bent. One elbow is stacked on top of the other. Round your upper spine so you create space between your shoulder blades. Then lower just a little bit into the hips, bending both knees. Shift the weight to the right leg. left foot hovers. And then straighten the right leg and bend. So we're keeping the upper back rounding and just bending and straightening the right leg. Bend and straighten. Again, bend and straighten. Let's do one more. Bend the right knee and straighten it. Okay, release the feet, release the arms, sweep the arms up, touch the palms overhead, and forward fold down. Take it all the way down, halfway lift and lengthen the spine, and fold it down. Step the right foot back, stay on the ball of the right foot, bend the left knee. Reach your left, actually, let's use your strap if you have it. Your washcloth if you don't have a strap. So hold your strap in your right hand. Lift your chest up and bring your right hand back behind you. So we're going to let this strap just come down to the outside of the left thigh. Now, so we're on the ball of the right foot. Spin your right hip forward. So both of our hips are squared to the front of the mat. Now lean forward. You may need to widen your stance side to side. Just feel it out. So we're building on our humble bowing warrior that we did earlier. Take your left hand, bring it underneath your left thigh, and grab that strap. So now we're in a bound lunge, and we're trying to find space through the shoulders, through the left hip, through the right leg. Can you find all that space? Are you making the best out of what you have? Breathe. Are you feeling at home? If not, how can you feel at home? 3, 2, 1. Now straighten the left leg. So we're in a bound pyramid. If you need to, lower your right heel down. Feel supported. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the left knee. Release your strap and just place your strap toward the top of the mat. Then come into warrior 2. So the right arm is going to sweep up toward the ceiling, then to the back of the mat. Left arm reaches forward. Left knee bends. Find your heels in one line. Your shoulders are stacked over your hips, and the eye gaze goes toward your left middle finger. Breathe in and breathe out. Cartwheel the hands down to either side of the left foot. So we're on the ball of the right foot now. Step your right foot forward. Inhale and lengthen the spine. Exhale and fold it down. Bend both knees. Step the left foot back. Stay on the ball of the left foot. Find your feet out as wide as railroad tracks. Not a balance beam, but railroad tracks. Right knee is over the right heel. Now go ahead, grab your strap. Lift the chest up. So we're going to move into our bind. So we have the strap in the left hand. It doesn't matter how you have it. You just want to have a little bit of tail to dangle down to the ground. So square your hips forward, lean forward. So as you're leaning forward, if you notice that your right shoulder is not going to reach the inside of the right knee without you twisting your spine, don't fall. Just find your feet wider side to side. So heel toe, your feet out wider. Then lean forward. If you want to, you can just have your hands down on the inside of that right foot. Otherwise, left hand holds the strap and then reach the strap. Find that tail end of the strap just dangling down on the outside of the right thigh. Then reach your right arm underneath, grab the strap, bend your right knee so your right knee is over your right heel, and open your heart. So this is a challenging shape, right? Not very traditional, I would say. But how can you make it feel like home? Can you soften your face? 3, 2, 1. Ah! Release the strap. Swivel your left heel down. Reach your left arm up and around, warrior 2. Adjust your feet so your heels are in one line. Right knee is bent. Arms are wide, right arm forward, left arm back, palms face down. Find your shoulder blades over your hips. Breathe. 4, 3, 2, 1. Cartwheel the hands down, either side of the right foot. Step the left foot forward to meet the right. Lengthen the spine and fold down. Rise up, touch the palms, and bring the palms to heart center. Find an inhale and exhale. Reach the arms up, touch the palms overhead, and forward fold down. Lengthen the spine, inhale, exhale, fold. So now we're going to move into pigeon. So we'll start with the right foot. So bring your right shin forward. So your right knee is up to your right wrist. And then slide your left leg back. Bring your mind's eye to where your right heel is. Is your right heel beneath your left hip bone? Right heel beneath left hip bone. That is an option. You can also draw your right shin further forward, so your right shin is parallel to the front of your mat. So that might be where you want to stay. I find that puts too much pressure on my right knee. So I keep my right shin at 45 degrees. So just scoot your left leg. Maybe your left leg moves more toward your midline. And then walk your hands forward. Allow your elbows to come down to the mat. Turn the palms to face up. Maybe you have a block and you place a block underneath your forehead for support. Maybe you just close the eyes. Imagine the breath is going in and just sweeping out all of the dust, all of the tension that's in your body. Just letting the breath blow it away. It's such a beautiful thing to be in someone's home. It's such a beautiful thing to witness someone in their home. And it's a beautiful thing to witness someone in their bodies as their home. So how can you make this pose more like home for you in this moment? Let's release this. Come up onto the hands. If you were listening to the playlist, you just got to hear the Tedeschi Trucks Band and you heard Derek Trucks. I think he's my favorite guitarist of all time, which is saying a lot. Now lift your hips up, round your spine, hover your right shin, and bring your right foot back. And then your left shin comes forward. So we're just moving to pigeon on the other side. Now, Just because you did it one way on the other side doesn't mean you need to do it the same way on this side. So for me, I do have my left shin closer to parallel than it was on the other side. What is it for you? Excuse me. Drop down to your elbows and find your right hip and your right heel in one straight line. And fidget for a minute, just to find a way to settle. Another option for pigeon that I have been loving in my own practice is to bring a block beneath the right shoulder and extend your right arm back and just rest your right arm in the arch of your left foot. Let your right shoulder sink down into the block and then rest the right temple on the ground and reach your left arm back, palms face up, and settle. A sense of home. And just a couple more breaths here. And lift up. So we are going to move. I'm going to give you two options because you may not want to do what I am going to suggest. So drop down to your left hip and face the right side of your mat. Then bring the soles of the feet together and the knees out wide. Find a generous distance between your groin and your heels, hands on the ankles, and tilt forward here. So this is one option for you. Some of you might know where we're going. If you want to join me in a pose that I have a love-hate relationship with, it's frog pose. Find some padding. So I like to use my little washcloths. Again, multiple uses for these guys. I'm going to place them back behind me. So that's where my knees are going to go. So we're going to come onto our knees. In fact, I'm going to move my mat just a little bit so I have a little more space. So we're on all fours, hands and knees, wrists are beneath the shoulders. Let's just find all fours, hands and knees. So I have these little pads underneath my knees, the washcloths, so that I can slide too. So that's kind of important. If you have carpet, don't worry about it, just kind of scoot your knees out. But if you do have a wooden floor, find something you can slide on. So keep your knees in the same plane as your hips at first. Turn your toes to face the sides, and then let your knees move out to the sides. So as you're here, you're probably going to feel things, right? What happens when you hit your edge? Another option for frog pose is to bring your big toes to touch, which in fact, that feels really delicious today. Delicious? Frog pose, delicious? Who would have ever thought? Let your knees just kind of sink out. Maybe you come down to your forearms. Maybe you stack your forearms and you rest your head on the forearms. So we hold this and we notice the physical sensation. We notice the release. We notice the mental reaction. We may have emotions. Soften. Last 5. And just notice your tendencies. And then come up, pushing yourself up. How in the world is it possible that I don't want to leave frog pose? That's never happened in my life. Now bring your knees toward one another. And then we're just going to move into final Shavasana. So find your head facing any direction and just crawl your body onto your mat. Allow your heels to come out wider than the hips. The palms are down by the sides facing up. Maybe you find one of your washcloths over the eyes. Allow the eyes to draw closed and check back in. Take that inventory just like you did at the beginning. And start to consciously breathe deeply and send your breath to specific places in your body that may need still a little more attention and love. Relaxing the muscles of the face, soften the jaw, the ears. Allow the eyelids to soften and the muscles behind the eyes to completely relax. Increase the space between the eyebrows. Relax the ears so much that you feel you can hear a little more deeply. Now squeeze the hands into fists. Squeeze your toes. Make the muscles of the face as small as possible. Squeeze everything toward the midline. Press the backs of the arms down into the ground. Press the feet down into the ground. Breathe in. And then with your eyes closed, open the mouth really wide. Relax the arms, relax the legs, and stick out the tongue and sigh. Squeeze the hands into fists again. Press the backs of the arms down, the feet, the legs. Tight, tight, tight. Everything is tight. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Lion's breath. Extend the tongue. Exhale with a sigh. Then relax the face. Unhinge the jaw. Rest the tongue on the back row of teeth. Just allow the brain to settle into the skull. Scanning the body, scanning the mind, letting every exhale take you deeper into rest. Taking a few more deep breaths, just allowing yourself to be. There's nothing you need to do in this moment except be at home in your body. And start to wiggle the toes and run your thumb across your fingernails. Just feeling the sensations in the body, in the hands and the feet. And place the palms in front of the face and then just vigorously rub the palms to generate some heat. Then cup the eyes with the palms. You can flicker your eyes open here or keep the eyes closed. And just roll to one side into a fetal position. It does not matter which side. And push yourself up. Find seated position we began in. And place the palms at the heart. Bow the head into the heart, thanking yourself for your practice. My name is Trina. Thank you for allowing me to guide the practice. Namaste.